let's investigate number 1 of the top 5 reasons you shouldn't go vegan. Here is part number 1 of 5 series explaining the top 5 reasons against a vegan diet. Number 1 is that it's biological. We are built to eat meat. Okay, the first excuse is that it's biological. The vegan answer is our canines. As you can see, carnivores have sharp teeth, such as omnivores, these are human canines, and herbivores, whereas humans resemble herbivores much more. Number 2 is our stomachs. As you can see here, we have a human stomach and a rabbit stomach. The length of the stomach tract is much more of a herbivore and an omnivore than a carnivore, which has a different length of a intestinal tract wall. Now, the prevention of cancer here in your digestive system is relevant to your animal proteins that you're eating. Excessive animal proteins can develop into intestinal worms. Also, WHO, the World Health Organization, classifies any processed red meats as cancerous. The scientific body from around the world has deemed processed meats causing colorectal cancer in association with stomach cancer. Now, let's take a scientific look at exactly what is going on when we eat these meats, especially red meats, eggs. As you can see here, plant proteins and animal proteins differ in terms of good bacteria that you're putting in your body, short-chain fatty acids, and as well as something called TMAO. Now, what is TMAO? Contributing to inflammatory bowel disease and cardiovascular disease, TMAO or trimethyl amino oxide is a chemical that is made through the consumption of foods that we eat, eggs, red meat, seafood, salmon. And basically this TMAO stuff makes your stickiness of your arteries, making all of the fats that are inside of your body and circulating through your vascular system more sticky, developing into plaques, arteries, atherosclerosis, strokes, heart attacks, and other fatalities regarding your cardiovascular system. Let's look at this scientific study from Cornell University examining the metabolic fate of TMAO in humans. TMAO is associated with chronic disease risk. The study examined 40-year-old men and gave them 50 milligrams to quantitatively assess the metabolic fate of orally consumed TMAO in humans. Quantitative measurement samples included blood, urine, stool, and skeletal muscles from these young men. The TMAO was detected as early as 15 minutes, peaked at 1 hour, and remained elevated through the 6-hour period. TMAO is derived from consumption of choline, which is abundant in eggs, and L-carnitine, which is abundant in red meat. Dietary choline and L-carnitine are metabolized by your gut to TMA and a small amount of DMA and methylamine. Now, these amines are absorbed via the enterohepatic circulation and oxidized into TMAO, circulating into your system and excreted through your urine. Highly abundant in fish and seafood, which is ironically the opposite, which touted for its cardioprotective benefits. TMAO is known to have adverse cardiac events such as stroke, heart attack, and heart failure. Now, when we consider these processed meats here, really is not worth the risk. But what is the one key of the puzzle that's missing? What is the one thing that animal foods do not have that plants are in abundance of? It's called the big F for fiber. Fiber content of foods. We have plant sources on the right here, which are abundant. Blueberries are a great source, cucumbers, cooked carrots. Animal sources, however, have none. How does this affect the body? Here is a research that has been published about the microbes inside of your digestive gut that naturally rely on food with plant sources as their food Now, what happens is natural layer of mucus lines the gut. It erodes if you do not have any fiber to a dangerous point where this bad bacteria can infect your colon wall. What happens is these bad bacteria will multiply if you are feeding it animal proteins and not multiply if you are feeding it fiber foods. It might sound like a scene from a science fiction movie, helpful bacteria eating your host from within, but that's what happens when they don't get what they want. There is an intricate balance of good bacteria that is inside of your gut microbiota. Now, the rat study took dietary fiber deprivation, which leads to bad bacteria pathogens. The left is a fiber-rich diet, the right is a fiber-free diet. There is an imbalance of bad bacteria to good bacteria. What happens is the mucus layer deteriorates and the bad pathogens end up entering your system. When the scientists looked at the samples of their gut tissue, they saw not only a thinner and patchy mucus layer, they also saw inflammation across a wide area, whereas fiber-rich mice before the study had a small bit of inflammation. What that says, explains Desai, the leader of the group of the study, to make it simple, these holes are created by our microbiota while eroding the mucus serves a wide open door for these pathogenic microorganisms to invade. This study shows that there is a direct link between our controllable eating patterns versus cancer. This table shows intestinal cancer versus animal sources, studied in a multiple country analysis. The animal eating countries, particularly colder dairy eating countries such as Canada, Finland, France, Denmark, all hit up the top of the list, whereas your more carbohydrate, plant source rich countries are at the bottom of the list, such as Venezuela, Mexico, and Colombia. Let's see what Dr. Greger has to say about cancer and food consumption.
Colorectal cancer is the third most common cause of cancer death in the world. Thankfully, the good bacteria in our gut take the fiber we eat and make short-chain fatty acids like butyrate that protect us from cancer. We take care of them, they take care of us. If you do nothing to colon cancer cells, they grow. That's what cancer does. But if you expose colon cancer cells to the concentration of butyrate our good bacteria make in our gut when we eat fiber, the growth is stopped in its tracks. But if the butyrate stops, if we just eat healthy for one day and then turn off the fiber, the cancer can resume its growth. So ideally, we have to eat lots of fiber-rich foods, meaning whole plant foods, every single day.
Thanks, Dr. Greger. Whole plant-based foods is what we need to eat for our health and for our future. The top 5 reasons against a vegan diet. Number 1 is squash, that it's biological. Check out our next video of our 5-part series against the vegan diet. Available on my website at theveganscientist.com, YouTube channel. Check out, subscribe, like, and comment below. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye for now.